Highland Park's mayor raided and then seized this building without ever accusing its owners of a crime, holding on to it for a year and a half until the 7 investigators exposed what many called a shakedown.
Tonight, lawmakers from both parties are calling for an end to civil asset forfeiture and say it's time for new laws to make sure abuses like this can't happen again. 7 investigator Ross Jones is back with the update for us.
You can't just say, man, we're really sure that they committed that crime, but we can't prove it. Well, then you can't take their stuff.
Michigan has come a long way in tightening the laws that allow the government to take your property without ever accusing you of a crime. But what happened recently to a couple in Highland Park is proof to lawmakers in both parties that there's still work to be done.
These tools were developed many years ago to go after drug kingpins, the Pablo Escobars of the world. But these tools have been turned against regular citizens far too often.
As we revealed in May, Highland Park officials seized this 13,000 square foot building whose owners were using it to grow medical marijuana. They were licensed to grow it, but the mayor claimed it was an illegal drug operation, even though charges were never filed. So for 18 months, the city held on to this former church, locking its owners out and using Michigan's forfeiture laws to do it. They offered to return it if its owners bought the city 2 new police cars, totaling $70,000. Only after our story aired did Highland Park reverse course, returning the building a year and a half later.
What happened here in Highland Park was made possible thanks to Michigan's civil asset forfeiture laws. They allow the government to take property they suspect is involved in a crime without ever charging anyone with a crime. And whatever assets are taken can be used to help fund law enforcement throughout the state.
This issue in Highland Park shows exactly why we need to keep pushing.
Back in 2019, Michigan lawmakers agreed that forfeiture had gone too far, and they passed reforms that would limit how law enforcement could use the tool.
As long as what the government is taking from you is less than $50,000 in value, they actually have to prove you're guilty before they take your stuff.
And while the new law helped clamp down on forfeiture abuse, lawmakers like Senator Jeff Irwin and Representative Steve Johnson say it didn't go far enough. Today, if the property the government suspects is connected to a crime is worth more than $50,000, like an expensive car, your home, or your building, it can still be forfeited without a criminal conviction.
To me, that's still wrong. You should never lose your property without your day in court.
And even if your property is never forfeited, the government can still hold it hostage. In Highland Park, the building was seized, but prosecutors wouldn't authorize a forfeiture. So the owners were left with no recourse but to wait.
The prosecutor's office is required to file forfeiture proceedings promptly. Now, promptly, it could be 6 months. The whole while that car or that currency or whatever it is that's been seized is just sitting there.
William Mays is an attorney who specialized in civil asset forfeiture cases. While he applauds the reforms pushed through in 2019, he believes all forfeitures should require a criminal conviction to proceed.
We really need to eliminate asset forfeiture across the board. Just get rid of it. It's created corruption in the county prosecutor's office. It's created corruption at the various police departments.
But despite the calls for tighter controls of forfeiture laws, both Senator Irwin and Representative Johnson admit that today there is little appetite in Lansing to take up the cause. That doesn't mean they'll stop fighting.
Look, this is being abused. There are real lives that are being affected, real people who are not being given their day in court. We can't just sit back because politically it's not convenient for us. That's our job.
But already, some forfeiture reforms in Michigan have been rolled back. As of May, people traveling with more than $20,000 at international airports can have their cash seized by police without even being charged with a crime. Airport authorities say it's to help fight drug traffickers, but forfeiture critics say it will also take the money of innocent people too. If you've been a victim of forfeiture abuse, we want to hear from you. Send us an email at tips@WXYZ.com. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News.
Another great story from Ross Jones.